are echoing back here, but now I have to completely set up my my system again. So give me just a second, guys. I'll be talking while I do it, but yeah, give me just a brief moment to set everything back up again. Sorry again for the stream issues. I'm happy someone told me about it, and we can just kind of go from there. So setting up my chat, and then need to move. Okay, screw it. You guys are just going to see everything. So we're going to move this over here, move that over there, and I'm going to get everything set up for stream. Yeah, I hope everything's doing okay. Everyone is doing okay. Sorry for the stream issues. And I should be able to move this here, that there. Also, for anyone who might have thought that I use a tiling Windows manager, I do not. I use OBS, or I use, what do I use? I use OpenBox, and I just happen to have a semi-tiling setup. So that should be good there. Let me also, I'm going to go over here, open up Slack, but I'm going to do this first. Just, actually, why do I even have to have Slack open? I don't have to have Slack open. The only thing I really need to have open right now is Discord. And even then, I can have it open on my, you know what, screw it. Screw it, we don't need Discord, we're okay. So let me open up the background music, cd music./play, and we should be good to go. However, I can't hear it. Okay, so now it should be good. Okay. Good. Thank you guys so much for showing, explaining the issues. Let me go ahead and do clear here. And we should be back ready to go. So, who was it? Binary Stream. If you have the same issue, I guess the solution is just to reboot your computer. Try turning it off and on again, because that's the solution to everything, apparently. Let me get some water while we're waiting on people to come back in. Again, if you haven't yet, refresh. Back up. Okay, I guess that was meant to be an exclamation mark. Crap. Oh, it's so embarrassing, and I could have just typed it in here. I'm so sorry. Embarrassing. Okay, so let me open up Zonal PP again, and let me just wrap up the discussion we were having before about the kind of more vlog-style, weekly upload type of thing on my YouTube channel. The reason I wanted to bring that up was because I am thinking about, very strongly considering, actually, renaming Leos OS. Where are we? LEIOSOS to LEIOS LABS, Leos Labs instead. Just because I do want to have more of a research focus. I feel like that's an area that people are not really going into in any form of online content. And I think, you know, if someone's going to do it, I think that we've got a pretty good shot of doing it pretty well. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Let me see, is Discord up for anybody? It is still down for me. So I'll check again in a few minutes and see if I can send the notification out. But yeah, I think we can go ahead and hop into the actual topic for today, which is counting. We left off after the technical difficulties with the question of how high can you count on your fingers? Question mark. Let me Control A and turn this green. Okay. And in particular, we specified the question to be, how high can you count on 10 binary registers? Right? Because in principle, right, like if you have your fingers, you have like, you have your fingers that can go up, like down or up, right? So, you know, you clearly have 10 binary registers, 0, 1, like 0, 1, 2, wait, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, so on and so forth. You can do it that way. But if you're really talented with your fingers, you technically have more than one knuckle, right? So you have like down, halfway up, all the way up here. So that's a trit. And then each of these guys are dits, I guess. You know, down, kind of up, a little bit more up. If you're double jointed, you can do that. And then this. So technically, you don't have 10 binary registers. You have... oh, and you also have the register of bringing your hand forward and back. Like you could say this is 0 and this is 1 as well. So technically you could say that you have 12 binary registers, right? Or you could say you have 2 binary registers, 2 trits. So you have 2 binary, 2 trit, and then a dit for 4. So you could say that you have this, in which case it would be... oh, I don't know what that would be. 2 to the 2 times 3 to the 2 times 4 to the 8. What does that put together? Julia. So then you could have 2 squared hands times 3. Well, it's just times 8 times 4 to the 8th. No. Oh, no. Ants is still 32. So if we do ants times 4 to the 8th. So that gives you a total of 2097152 that you can count to if you use like all of your knuckles and stuff like that, which is of course much higher than just 10 binary registers, which can only count up to 1023, right? However, I'm here to tell you today that there's a way to count up to not only 1023, not only 2,097,152, but you can actually count up to 1.15 times 10 to the 16 using 10 binary registers. That's what we're going to talk about today, how to count up to that number using just your fingers, right? And in fact, the actual question is, with 8 bits, 8 bits, how high can you count? And the answer here is 130,000, right? So that's what we're working on today. The question is, how do you count that high? Now I'm going to give everyone just another second or two to come back in because we did lose quite a few people with the technical difficulties. So I'll give everyone like 5 more minutes. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to let me know, and I'll totally address it as soon as I see it in chat. But yeah, sorry again for the technical difficulties and the ramblings and the rantings, but it's Simuleo, so what do you expect? Like, it's the nature of this channel, just to be, like, really, really bad at basically everything that I try to do. Okay, so I think this needs to go over there. No, it's already where it needs to be. Cool, okay. So what I'm also going to do is open up a few more terminals, just to have the algorithm archive building in the background. So let's have that there. Make this huge and move this over here, and we're going to move that to that desktop. Perfect. So now we're going to cd into projects, algorithm archive, and I'm going to run np, do it over here, cd projects, algorithm archive, and now we're going to do npm run serve. And this should be for the counting branch or whatever. So we can talk through what I have so far, and kind of, work through it, read it, revise it, this type of stuff. The stream title is Unapologetic Research Stream, so I don't really know what you're expecting. I mean, like, I put it up that way for a reason. Like, there's going to be bits of the stream that might be a bit, just not dull, but just kind of, going through and writing a chapter or something like that. But I figured, let's just go ahead and try to stream the whole process from now on. At the very least, that gives me, like, stable working hours. Whereas before, I've been kind of just, like, working whenever I have time. And here it's like, well, let's just make sure that I'm working from this time to this time, What I have realized is I'm really bad at streaming in the afternoon. Like, I actually have, like, after, like, 4 o'clock p.m., I'm just tired. Like, I can't really even make, like, a coherent sentence after 4 o'clock p.m. I think that's because I'm usually up at, like, between 4 and 5 in the morning. And because of that, by the time 4 o'clock p.m. rolls around, like, I've already worked, like, 12 hours usually. Or like, I've been working or working out or active or something for a very long time. So because of that, it's kind of, I don't know, a bit hard for me to, like, stay awake, stay active, and like, I don't know, just have active conversations, after that. So what I'm going to try to do is have kind of, more or less office hours, during the day, where I'm available here on Twitch for people to ask questions and hang out and all that kind of stuff. Again, in a few weeks, I will be traveling to Tokyo, which means I'm going to have to take another 2 weeks off when I'm quarantining in Tokyo. But after that, I should be in Okinawa for a few months, and then I should be in Barcelona from there. So there's going to be like a few like situations where I'm going to have to take a few weeks off just due to travel plans and stuff like that. But I'm going to try to stream as consistently as I can. And more than that, I'm really going to try to stick to this weekly schedule with the uploads from here on in. Okay, I'm going to open up a new internet browser, move this over here, and we're going to go to our local host, which should be building the algorithm archive right now. Something like that should work. So let's go to the local host here. And down at the very bottom, because I'm great at navigation, is the approximate counting algorithm. Move this over here. I'm just going to read what I have so far. Clearly, I kind of just copied the fractal fern, the Barnsley fern chapter over here. But, you know, like, it's fine. Okay. The approximate counting algorithm. Let me get some water, and then we're just going to read through it and yeah, see what works and what doesn't. This should be a good setup for how the algorithm works, even if it's not like a perfect introduction to the topic. One other thing I want to do is let me go to YouTube, 3 blue, 1 brown, counting. I think he has a videos. Well, I know he has a video. Let's just go to YouTube really quick. All right, and let's see. Here we are. How to count to 1,000 on 2 hands. Right. So these are actually like really good pictures. I'm wondering if like I should just steal some of his images, you know, because it's kind of in the right form for like what I wanted for this video. Or I could just make it myself, I guess, because making it myself is probably the correct way to do it, right? I just didn't want to have to. I mean, it's just a Sobel filter. It's not that hard. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just see how we want to do it. Edge detect filter, right? Literally, you don't even have to do canny. Like, you can just do Sobel filter, and it's probably fine. Like, I know we have the Sobel filter already in the algorithm archive. So, wait a minute. Why is this loading? What is going on here? Okay, so for some reason, okay, I'm gonna be honest. Like, there's this one person in the server that I can't tell if they're trolling or not. So Discord just loaded. Let me go ahead and post the stream link and everything. Here and there. Now that it's loaded. Okay. Good. So now we're good to go ahead and get started. But yeah, this is literally just a Sobel filter. It's not hard to do. The question is, should I make the image now or should I wait a bit? Do I have anything to make the image with now? I don't know if I have any like cameras or anything. I do. I just don't know where to take the photo. Okay, let's think about it. How can you make 5 with your hands? How can you make a 5 with your hands? Like this? Or you could make it like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That. Oh, I'm so sorry. I now understand what you're getting at. Okay, but actually, you probably want 4, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm really bad at binary counting, by the way, on your hands. Okay. So let's go ahead and read through the chapter that I have so far. It's only halfway done. But I think I have the theory of what to do for the rest of this. So we'll see. Okay. So this might seem like a straightforward question, but how high can you count on your fingers? I mean, this depends on how many fingers you have, but in general, the answer has to be 10, right? Well, not exactly. It can actually go much, much higher with a few simple abstractions. The first strategy is to think of your fingers as binary registers like so. So here I'm just going to add an image of different hand configurations, you know, like this, I don't know, and that or something. And be like, you know, you can count each one as like 0, 1, 2, something like this. And then say, if your fingers are out, they count as a 1 for that register. If they're not, they count as a 0 for the register. If you have decided on the appropriate finger configuration, after you've decided on the appropriate finger configuration, you can just read them back and get your actual count. Does that actually make sense? Like, is that understandable? CD into projects, algorithm. Oh, come on. I can't type. I'm already in the algorithm archive. CD content. Approximate counting. L is here. Yeah, approximate counting. Let me reread that sentence because it didn't make sense to me. If your fingers are out, they count as a 1 for that register. If they're not, they count as a 0 for that register. If you have decided on the appropriate finger configuration, after you've decided on the appropriate finger configuration, you can just read back all the registers to get your actual count. See, I say count too many times. So, after you've decided on the appropriate finger configuration, you can just read, you have decided on, okay, after you've decided on the appropriate finger configuration, you have created a bit string that can be read from left to right, or right to left. I'm not judging. Oh my gosh, I can't today. Because you have 10 fingers, and each one represents a power of 2, you can count up to 2 to the 10th, or 1023, which is about up to 2 to the 10th minus 1 is what it needs to be. Now, I'm afraid to say 2 to the 10th minus 1, because then people are going to ask where the minus 1 comes from. You can count up to 2 to the 10th, or 1023. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Which is about 100 times more than simple finger counting. Great. This is great, but what if we want to go beyond 1024? More concretely, how high can we go with only 10 bits? I think that's fine. This is precisely the problem that Morse encountered in Bell Labs in 1977. There, he was given an 8-bit register and asked to count much higher than 2 to the 8th equals 256. Hey, Trash Talk, how are you? His solution was to invent a new method known as the approximate counting algorithm. With this method, he could count up to about 130,000 with a relatively low error. Standard deviation of sigma is roughly equal to 17,000. Using 10 fingers, this method can count up to 1.15 times 10 to the 16 when using similar parameters, which is undoubtedly impressive. Cool, glad to hear that. This method was an early predecessor to streaming algorithms. I guess is, probably not was, it still is an early predecessor. Well, this method is, sure, an early predecessor to streaming algorithms where information must be roughly processed in real time. As we dive into those methods later, this chapter will certainly be updated. For the purposes of this chapter now, I'm just going to say for now, DT this. For now, we will not be showing any proofs, though those might come later as well, but a rigorous mathematical description of this method can be found in a follow-up paper by Philippe Flahole. In addition, there are several blogs and resources online that cover this method to varying degrees of accessibility. Here, we hope to provide a basic understanding of the method, along with the code implementations for anyone who might want to try something similar in the near future. Cool, okay. So now we can move on to the simple example. Let me go ahead and write and rebuild the archive for now. I'm debating whether I should actually link 3 Blue and Brown's video on the finger counting thing, you know? Maybe I should. Yeah, maybe I should. I'm just gonna go in here. Let's see. I think I'll just put like the link here. This is precisely the problem. Missing the. This is precisely. Thank you. This is precisely the problem. Okay, like so, and let's just go ahead and add the citation here, and we're just going to say, I think I can just do the following. 3 blue and brown, count 2 fingers. Oh gosh, come on. Finger count. And then we're just going to do cite. And let's add it to the bibliography, which should be here, literature.bib. Go down here and let's just do yank 6 yank. Paste it down here. And what did I call it? I think 3 blue, 1 brown, finger counting. Finger count? I don't remember. 3 blue, 1 brown, finger count. This is... thanks. I'll fix that right now. Okay. 3 blue, 1 brown, finger count. This is precisely the problem. For X. Paste. Thanks. Okay, so now we're going to go into literature.bib, go down here, and update it. So DT here, there. I think it was 2017, but let's see. It was 2015. Wow, that long ago? Huh. Okay. So he changed to 2015. The URL will be here. Okay. And then let's see. Well, actually, let's just grab a different link here. So we're going to share, and then we're going to grab that link is the one I want. Thanks for okay, so let's, I'm so tired right now. Okay, let's keep going. So let's go DT here, paste this there, And now the last thing is I want to grab the title, which is how high can you count on two hands. I probably should give an author as well. I've been really bad about giving authors. Yeah, let's add the author as well. I think that's just a matter of doing the following. Author is equal to, and I'm just going to do Grant Sanderson. All right, add a comma in there, and let's also add this authorship to Gregory Gunderson, who's probably Gregory Gunderson, and then also Arpit. So let me go to these websites and grab their authorship information just to be clear. Their paste, perfect. If this guy's name is not Gregory Gunderson with a website called Gregory Gunderson, I'm going to be very disappointed. His name better be Gregory Gunderson. Let's go to home. PhD student, Princeton, Bayesian publications. Gregory Gunderson, perfect. Okay, should be down here. DT there, paste it there, and then also Arpit counting. So let's grab this guy. Perfect. And paste this here, and it should be something Arpit. Do we have this guy's name? Maybe just, computer science work with Dr. E. Shoup. Do we have a name for this guy? Oh, here it is. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to move up here, and then I'm just going to rebuild the site really quick. All right, right quit. And then over here, it should rebuild, but I'm not sure if it will rebuild the bibliography when I do that. So let me just build it there. Let me get a quick sip of water. Every time I start streaming again, there's that little bit of disorientation when like you're trying to like narrate what you're doing for the first time in a while when you haven't been doing it. It's really difficult. Like I always forget how hard it is just to keep track of like all the different moving parts and everything. Let me go over here, and good. I should be good to go. Anyway, so we have that up. I don't know why I closed the browser, right? Like that's another one of those things. I should not have closed the browser, but I did. Move this down here, and let's just go to localhost. Okay, and then go to the counting method, which is down here. Perfect. And it should be that the bibliography is set. Grant Sanderson, Morris Robert. Right. Right. Okay, so that means I need to actually... Yeah, I need to fix the literature.bib down here because apparently Grant Sanderson worked, Gregory W. Gunderson worked, Arpit worked, but Felipe Flahole, I think that's one name, isn't it? Has to be, right? D here, DT here, and we'll paste it in here. Okay, write that. I'm going to see if that actually rebuilds the literature file. It does not. So, but it should be fine, right? Whatever, I'll rebuild it. Control C, build it again, and then let's go. This room is also super hot. I am just burning up right now. But that's just the nature of being in Alabama in the summer. Well, I was in Boston, but the truth is Boston doesn't have air conditioning, so I'm not sure if I'm in a better or worse place here. Actually, no, strike that. I am definitely in a worse place because this room is just way hotter than the rest of the house. So the air conditioning never comes to this room because it just doesn't. So yeah, with the computer on and everything else, I'm in like a very enclosed space, and it's hot. Okay, let's take a look at the literature again. So refresh the page, go down to the bottom. Oh, well, I was already at the bottom. And it looks like we have... Robert Morris is wrong. Let's also fix that one. Yeah, they did the same thing, so I guess I'm just going to do this. And I will assume it's fixed after doing this. Robert Morris here. That means I probably have a whole bunch of other authors, like John Canny up here, for example, that I need to update. But I think that should be a separate PR where I fix all of the... yeah, where I fix all of the... citations, because it's probably like all of them are probably this way, because if you grab them from Google Scholar, they're always in that format, unless maybe For the other ones, I set them in this format, so it's Sanderson G. Okay, screw it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually leave them in the other format, because all the other, like, citations are in that format. So this is going to be Morris. Oh, well, that's not going to be it. 1 second. R. All right. Flahole P. Because this is the format the rest of them are in, so let's just have it this way. I know a lot of people don't care. I probably shouldn't care, but here we are. So, you know. G. And then down here should be Sanderson G. Okay, perfect. Okay, got the citations figured out. Let's go back up to the approximate counting algorithm, and let's start going through the second chapter, or the second, not chapter, but the second bit here. As you can see, I have only gotten, like, again, like halfway through the article. There's a bunch of images I need to add in, and all this kind of stuff, but we're going to try to get to that during the stream today. We're just going to see how far we can get, honestly. I'm not really convinced that we're going to be able to, like, finish this entire chapter today. I'm also probably, like, I'm also quite tired, so, like, I'm probably just going to, like, run out of stream stamina in, like, I don't know, like an hour or two. But I figure, you know, we can at least go until, what is it right now? So it looks like it's 1:30 Eastern, which means it's 12:30 in Alabama. Yes, it's 12:30 in Alabama. I think I have a group meeting at 3 in Alabama, I think. So I think maybe I'll keep streaming until then. So we'll just see how far we get. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I do realize that the stream time is not like the best for everyone. There's a lot of people that just can't tune in during this time, which is why I used to try to stream in the evenings. But I gotta be honest, again, like I said before, I can't stream in the evenings. That's what I've learned this year. Like, streaming in the evenings is just too difficult for me, because I'm just not awake during that time. Like, in fact, my sleep schedule, like, sometimes I will go to sleep at 4:00 p.m. Like, it's I don't know, an issue. What group? Just with Grant and a few different other people. I think the project is public, but it's just, I don't know. That's who the group is. It's just it's the someone group, so the Summer of Math Exposition group. So this is good EU time, by the way. Probably right. So EU is what, 7 hours ahead. So this is probably 10 o'clock at night for most people in EU. I'm gonna guess that. Let's see. No. It's like 9 o'clock p.m. for people in Europe, because I'm bad at math. Something like that. What time is it in Spain? Time in Spain. Yeah. So this is the other issue, right? It's almost 8 p.m. Yeah. Okay. I just suck at math. I looked at my clock down here and saw it said 13:28. I was like, oh, well, 13 plus 7 is gonna be 20, and clearly 20 o'clock is 10. Is kind of what my mind went to. What was I going to say? Right, so when I go to Spain, I'm going to have a really hard time finding a stream time that works for people, right? Because, you know, I'm naturally going to want to stream from like 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Like, that's going to be my natural stream time. But there's going to be no one awake during that time. Like, yeah, no one's going to be awake during that time. It's going to be 2 o'clock in the morning for people in the U.S. And it's going to be like, how do I put this? Well, obviously like 5 o'clock in the morning for people in Europe. So if I change it to be like 9 to 5 or like 9 to noon or something European time. Oh, yeah, I don't know. India, Korea. Yeah, it's just there are people in India who watch my channel and stuff. But stream for the Australians, they'll appreciate it. Yeah, that's true. Like, Australians never get content because they're just bad time zone wise. But I would always stream, I don't know, the 5 to 7 slot in Japanese Standard Time was, you know, the perfect time zone for me. Like, I'd get up, I'd do the stream, and then I'd go about my day. And it was a great way just to get everything started, you know? But nowadays, I can't just do that slot, you know? Man, I'm getting a headache. Okay, so, a simple example. If we need to count more than 256 events with 8 bits, there's one somewhat simple strategy. Just count every other item. This means that we will increment our counter with 2, 4, 6, 8 events, effectively doubling the number of events we can count to 512. Similarly, if we need to count above 512, we could increment our counter every 3 to 4 events. However, there's an obvious drawback to this method. I'm from India, but I have a weird schedule, so I often watch your stream at 4 o'clock a.m. Well, that's fair. Like, I honestly have not had a consistent stream time since I moved back to the US. So, like, I've just been, like, how do I put this? Like, it's been like a year and a half where I've had no consistency whatsoever with any of my content, whether that be YouTube or Twitch or anything. It's just no consistency whatsoever. Which I know sucks. Like, that, you know, I should have some consistency, but it's really, really hard to do. When, like in Japan, it was easy because I could just get up at 5, and I could have a consistent stream time because I just got up at 5, did the stream, done. You know, there wasn't anyone that there's no one that bothers you at 5 o'clock a.m. Right? But if you have to stream at 7 o'clock p.m., first of all, I'm sleeping. Like, I'm just not awake during that time. And second of all, like, there's so many people who are going to try to grab your attention during that time slot. It's hard to just dedicate time to work, you know? So, I don't know. That's where I'm at with that. Time zones are always difficult. Okay, so I just said there's an obvious drawback to counting every other event. So I think what we need to say... Okay, there's something wrong with the way these paragraphs kind of come together. Right, because I just said there's an obvious drawback with basically counting every other event. So similarly, if we need to count above 512, we can increment our counter every 3 or 4 events. However, there's an obvious drawback to this method. So the next paragraph I say, let's say we're counting every other event, but there are an odd number of events total. Well, there would only be one way to represent this number with that counting method. What? Oh, there would be no way to represent this number with that counting method, right? So I need to reread that. Let's say we're counting every other event, but there are an odd number of events total. Well, there would be no way to represent this number with that counting method. It doesn't make any sense. Similarly, if you count every third or fourth event, you would miss out on any numbers that are not multiples of your increment number. Yeah, see, this is the issue. Like, count is like ill-defined in this paragraph, and then number, I use it so many, like, I'm actually using the word number in different ways, you know? So, let's think about it really quick. I think what I can just do is I can say there's an obvious drawback to this method, in that, let's see, our counting resolution. No, how do I say this in a way that's like less? However, there's an obvious drawback to this method. If we count every other event, then there's no way to represent odd numbers. Yeah, that's what I need to say. And I think I just want a colon here. If we only count every other event, there is no way to represent odd numbers. Okay, let's go here. Similarly, if you count every third or fourth event, you'd miss out on any numbers that are not multiples of your increment number. Feels like the previous paragraph ends with a colon, and the actual example is missing. Right. Okay, so I think that's what I actually want to say. Let me look at that paragraph one more time. So, if we need to count more than 256 events with 8 bits, there is one somewhat simple strategy. Just count every other item. This means that we will increment our counter with 2, 4, 6, 8 events, effectively doubling the number of events we can count to 512. Similarly, to count above 512, we can increment our counter every 3 to 4 events. However, there is an obvious drawback to this method, in that if we only count every other event... See, the colon makes sense there, but also, like, I'm using 2 colons in the same paragraph, which is not good. But if we count every other event, there's no way to represent odd numbers. Similarly, if we count... Also, I'm switching between we and you. It should always be you, or we. So my philosophy with we is that pretty much always you want to use we. And here's the thing, even if it's me talking to you, I'm still going to use the word we. Like, as in, we are doing this thing. And a lot of people, like, kind of give me crap for that. But the way I see it is, you know, if you're trying to teach something, we is you and the audience together. It's not like, here, I did something. Here, well, okay, for an experimental technique or something like that, you would use the word I, or something like that. But if you're trying to like show or explain a process, I will use we instead, because it's like, well, similarly, if we, you and me, take every third event or third or fourth event, type of thing. So yeah, I tend to usually use it as like a way to like bring the audience in, but I think a lot of people, like depending on the paper and depending on the context, will kind of like, like my old advisor was this way as well when I was writing my PhD thesis. He was like, oh, you need to change all the we's to I, and I was like, well, there are certain cases where we was specifically meant to mean like, you and me, friends, because I'm part of the less than 1% that does a mathematics bachelor. I don't see the problem with this. I don't have a problem with using I if you, if it's something that you specifically did and it's not something you're trying to explain, right? So like, for example, if it is a like experimental technique or something like that, like you're doing something in a paper and you're the only one that did it, I is perfectly fine. But if you're trying to explain, then I think we is a better thing there. I don't know why I just went on like a 5-minute rant about the usage of we, of third person, in academic writing. Like everyone knows that people use third person even when it kind of sounds weird sometimes. Mathematics almost only uses we in proofs. Right. I figure that's probably true. Okay, so let's go here. However, there's an obvious drawback to this method. I think what I need to do here is say the obvious drawback to this method is that if we only count every other event, is that if we I guess only is fine there. Okay, so hypothetically, if I'm breaking my own rule a lot. Let's go here. If we needed to count to some number around 1 million with 8 bits, then we would need to increment our counter, increment a counter every roughly 4,000 events. This has a few important consequences. One, if the number is not a multiple of 4,000, then we will have an error associated with the count. We'll say the total count of up to 4,000, which is 0.4%. 2, there's no way to determine the final count if it is not a multiple of 4,000. And 3, we now need some way to count up to 4,000 before incrementing the main counter. Does that make sense? Like, is everyone? I think that's fine. In this way, 4,000 would be a type of counting resolution for our system. Overall, a 0.4% error is not bad, but it is possible to ensure that the approximate count is more specific by using randomness to our advantage. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that we can use more specific isn't exactly what I'm trying to say here. I think what I'm trying to say is that, if you have like a couple binomial distributions, the expectation value can be exactly on, your final count that you're looking for. So it is possible to ensure that the approximate count is more specific. It's possible to ensure that the approximate count is, I guess more accurate is what I'm looking for. But it is kind of, the problem is it's kind of conflating two ideas, right? So here I said that your counting resolution is 4,000, right? So if you're trying to count to 1,100,000, something like that, why would you need to count to 4,000 first? Couldn't we just say that 1 is equivalent to 4,000 and then count to 256? 1 is equivalent to 4,000, and count to 256 times 4,000 with 8 bits. Right, so that was the point here, right? If you need to count to 1,000,000, 256 times 4,000 will get you over 1,000,000, right? So that's why I just chose 1,000. It gets you to 1,024,000 or something like that. The reason you need to count to 4,000 is because, like, we're counting sheep, right? Or something like that. So, like, you can imagine just, 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, right? And so once the 4,000th sheep has come by, you then click a counter and you're like, Good. That's one increment of 4,000, right? And then you say, okay, the next 4,000 sheep. That's the next increment of 4,000. The next 4,000 sheep, you increment it up again, right? So because of that, you still need some way to increment that intermediate counter, right? Which was my point there. But you're right that it might not be clear. So to count up to 4,000 before incrementing the main counter. Hypothetically, if we needed to count up to some number around 1,000 with 8 bits, we would need to increment a counter every 4,000 events. So easiest way to think about this. So I guess I'm just going to say exactly what I said there. Imagine counting sheep. I think I will do that. Imagine counting 1 million sheep. By counting in this way, we would, I guess, first send 4,000 sheep. We'd first count 4,000 sheep before incrementing the main counter by 1. After roughly, after all the sheep have gone by, okay, what am I actually looking for here? Julia, 1 million divided by 4,000 gives you 250 exactly. Would have counted up to 250 on our main counter, and also counted 4,000 250 times. Is this clearer? I think that's probably clear. Let's see. So imagine counting 1,000 sheep. Hypothetically, if we need to count... Okay, so imagine counting 1,000 sheep. I think I'm just going to put this in the previous sentence. If we wanted to save all of them on an 8-bit register, we would need to increment our main counter every 4,000 events, every 4,000 sheep, something like that. Hey Prats, how are you? So imagine counting 1,000 sheep. 1 million sheep. If we wanted to save all of them on an 8-bit register, we would need to increment our main counter. I guess increment that register probably makes more sense. That register every 4,000 sheep. By counting this way, we'd first count 4,000 sheep before incrementing the main counter by 1. I think this sentence is redundant now. So imagine counting a 1 million sheep. If we wanted to save all of them on an 8-bit register, we could increment that register. You know what early mathematicians used to use I and proofs a lot? I think that I believe it. You know, I actually haven't seen a proof by Gauss in a while, but I'm sure, you know. Maybe I should look for the proof for the Easter algorithm if he had one. I'm not sure if he did. As far as I remember, Newton used it too. Yeah, that's probably fair. Okay, meanwhile, I'm just trying to figure out how to count to 1 million. We would need to increment that register every 4,000 sheep. By counting this way, we would first count 4,000 sheep before incrementing the main counter by 1. What's going on today? We're counting. That's literally what we're doing. 1 second. Let me try to rephrase this paragraph, and then I'll explain what we're doing in chat. Predominantly algorithm archive, yeah. So we're working on an approximate counting algorithm created by Morris in 1974 or something like this. The algorithm itself is used to count to 130,000, roughly 130,000 on 8 bits. So that means that if you want to count like as high as you can on your fingers using 10 binary registers, you can get up to 1.15 times 10 to the 16, which is large. So the question is, exactly how does this algorithm work and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what we're working on today. So imagine counting. Okay, so as a hypothetical example, imagine counting 1 million sheep. If we wanted to save all of them on an 8-bit register, with an 8 bits is what I'm going to say. We would need to increment. We could increment that register. Increment that register. Increment. Our main count. Wait. As a hypothetical example, imagine counting 1 million sheep. If you wanted to save all of them on 8 bits, maximum size of 256, we could increment our counter, sure, every 4,000 sheep that walk by. We'll just say 4,000 sheep. By counting this way, we would first need to count 4,000 sheep before incrementing the main counter by 1. I think this is redundant, but I think it's important to re-emphasize the claim. So after all the sheep have gone by, we would have counted up to 250 on our counter, and also counted up to 4,000 on a separate counter 250 times. This has a few important consequences. 1, if the number is not a multiple, if the final number of sheep is not a multiple of 4,000, then we'll have some error associated with a total count of up to 4,000. There's no way to determine the final number of sheep. This thing's not on the archive yet. No, we're working on it right now. Number of sheep. If it is not a multiple of 4,000, and 3, we need some way to count up to 4,000 before incrementing the main counter. Right. I think that's clearer, but also now we're counting sheep, and everyone's definitely going to be sleeping in the middle of this paragraph. So I'm going to come back to it in just a second. We have a lot more to kind of cover here. So in this way, 4,000 would be a type of counting resolution for a system. Overall, a 0.4% error is not bad, but it is possible to ensure that the approximate count is more accurate by using randomness to our advantage. That is to say, instead of incrementing our counter every 4,000th item, I'm going to change item to sheep. We could instead give each item a 0.025% chance of incrementing our main counter. This averages out to be roughly 1 count every 4,000 sheep. But the expectation value of a large number of counting experiments should be the correct number. This means that even though we need to perform the we need to count all of the sheep multiple times to get the right expectation value. Let's see. This means that even though we need to count all the sheep multiple times to get the right expectation value, we no longer need to keep a separate counter for the 4,000 counting resolution, for the counting resolution of 4,000. This isn't very clear, is it? As expected, each counting experiment will have some associated error, and to quantify this error... Okay, so then I wanted to kind of talk about the error here, and how, in this case, because we're using randomness, we probably want to quantify that error via, a standard deviation or something like that. Right. I think that's fair. Okay, let me think about how we actually want to go from here. So what I'm trying to motivate here is that, so what I want to do is I want to draw basically journal, new page before. I want to draw a bunch of histograms. So here's a bunch of rectangles. So I'm going to basically say, how do I want to do this? Right, so we have some number of sheep, right? And so that's going to be kind of the actual number of sheep that we have is here, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to do a whole bunch of counting experiments. And so if this is, let's say we have 100 sheep, right? Instead of a million sheep. So this will be 100. And then we have, 99, 101, 98, 102, so on and so forth. And what we'll see is that, the highest number of counts is at 100, and then we have slightly less at 101, slightly less at 102. It should look, that should be symmetric. Something like this. I really suck at drawing, but essentially what we're drawing here is a Gaussian distribution, right? It should be a Gaussian distribution where the expectation value is the correct count. So this should be the correct count. So what I want to do then is I kind of want to draw the standard deviation here. So this is going to be sigma, which is going to be equal to, I don't know really. But this brings up an interesting question as to, like, should I have done a chapter first on the binomial distribution? Is that something I should have talked about before now? Take a look on off topic. Yeah, sure. What happened on off topic? Now for another round, here's the solution. What's the puzzle? Oh, I have no idea. I don't have Discord up because it was broken earlier today. Let me open it up over here. Discord. Yeah, it just wasn't loading earlier on stream. Good. Okay, so then we're going to do off topic. This is... So another round of here's the solution, what's the puzzle? How to get 4 cups of water with only 3 and 5... Wait, what? How to get 4 cups of water with only 3 and 5 cup bottles. So you have a small cup and a large cup, and you add 5. Then you do a small cup and a large cup. Oh, so you've added 5 to the left cup. And then at the end, what you're trying to do, I had this as an example, light theme. I mean, look, if you need, I have sunglasses, just like you have sunglasses for light theme and Discord. Like, if you need to wear them, feel free to do so. So yeah, I can imagine it's probably related to greatest common divisor. That makes sense. Right, so we have 0, 4 at the end here for both of them. We have 3, 4, 3, 3. So 5 must be the amount of water in each of these cups. So like, yeah, my father used to give me those kind of enigmas when I was younger. You're completely right. Okay, so now I have to figure out how it's a greatest common divisor thing. Like, what are you dividing? 5 and 3? 0 and 4? That doesn't make any sense. 3, 2, 2. I mean, I can see how it's kind of like the Euclidean subtraction algorithm in a way. Oh, it's been a long time since we looked into that. You can have 4 units with 6 and 10 unit cups, but not 3. You can have 4 units with 6 and 10 unit cups, but not 3 units. It has to do with 3 times x plus 5 times y, where x and y are whole numbers. Oh, I see. So the first cup is your x cup, and the second cup is your y cup, because the greatest common divisor is 6 and 10 is equal to 2. Okay, so now I don't... How is it related to the greatest common divisor, though? O equals 4, and you almost should be divisible by that. And your amount should be divisible by that. So... No, I think I had the cups wrong. I thought like one cup was x, the other cup was y, but I don't think that's true. Because if one cup was x and the other cup was y, then I don't understand how 0, 4 would be represented with that with that. Is equal to 1, and every natural number is divisible by 1. X and Y are numbers, so this works. Let me get some water. Oh man, I'm sweating. It is hot in here. Okay. I have no idea how this works at all. Like, I'm actually like very, very puzzled by it. Add 2 5 cups and subtract 2 3 cups. You add 2 5 cups and 2 3 cups. Why 2? 10 minus 6 equals 5. I dropped materials on the topic in the chat. Times 4. It's okay. I think I'm just going to move on. Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm sorry about that. I can't follow it at all. No, it's cool. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, let's see. Let me go ahead and sketch out what we need to do for the rest of this chapter. Sorry, I can't follow it. Of course, it's an MIT thing. Page 89. Okay, one second. Okay, not sure exactly what happened there. Over here. There we go. 89. Can I just click on something? 89. Oh, stable marriage problem is completely different. Yeah, well, if it's... I just don't understand. Like, I know what the stable marriage problem is. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I gotcha. 89. I'm trying to scroll up. It's just hard because my fingers are sweaty. Okay. And not the same, yeah. So an unbounded counter is similar. Just enter 89 in the field above. Well, yeah, I'm there. So, fingers are sweaty, code spaghetti. Yeah, maybe. It's super hot in here. I'm gonna try to move the fan over a bit. Okay. Yeah, I saw the jugs. I don't understand where it's coming from. We can model jug filling scenarios by state machine. I'm probably gonna come back to this later for now. I mean, just it's kind of a distraction for now. But I can look at it in the Discord and stuff. So, okay, so right, let me try to get back to what I was talking about before. So Okay, so what I need to do is the following. What I need to do is I want to first talk about the error propagation here, talk about the binomial distribution. I don't know actually how much I should cover this. Like, do you think people probably already have an understanding of the binomial distribution, how that works and everything? Or should I do a bit of an intro? Because I feel like if I want to do an intro, I need to do like a separate chapter on the intro, right? And I just don't want to do a chapter on the binomial distribution right now. That was actually what was distracting me last time, because I realized in order to explain all the math for this chapter, I really should have a chapter on like probability and statistics and all that kind of stuff, and like what a probability density function is and all this. And I just didn't want to do that, because I just did not want to talk about the binomial distribution. Right, no, I don't have that chapter, so I have to write that chapter, and I just didn't want to write that chapter because it's just a huge distraction right now. So, yeah. And the other thing, too, is I can't really make a video on the binomial distribution either, because Grant already has a video on the binomial distribution, and it's not to say that we can't, like, do two things at the same. Like, I can't also make a video on the stuff that he makes a video on. But here's the issue with that. If I make a video on a topic that 3 Blue and Brown has already made a video on, no matter, I know exactly what the comments are going to say, because they say it all the time. They're going to say, Grant did this video better. And it just, that's what all the comments are going to be. Every single one of them. There will be a few people that are like, oh, thanks, because they haven't seen Grant's video before. But like, most of them are just going to say, this is a waste of my time. I already saw this with 3 Blue and Brown. Why did you make this? Because that's like, 90% of my negative comments are like related to that. Like almost every single one of the videos I put out, I get someone saying, Grant did this better, or 3 Blue and Brown did this better. And it's just super frustrating, because I don't see our channels as like even kind of approaching the same audience. Like, I'm not really trying to teach anything with my videos. My videos are just meant to be like, hey, here's an ad for the algorithm archive or something like that. It's not meant to be like a like an overall educational experience. It's meant to be, if you're trying to understand eigenvectors, this is the video to get you from trying to understand it to actually understanding it, right? Not from zero to understanding it, right? If you think you know everything about a topic, just don't watch videos on it, right? Yeah, I don't know. You're right. Like, that's also the other issue with my channel, right? In that, because it's so algorithm focused, like, who am I actually making the videos for is a good question. Like, if I start talking about like super arcane algorithms and stuff, like, frankly, like, no one's going to click on that video unless, how do I put this? No one's going to click on that video unless they're just like interested in like, just how the project is going and stuff like that. But on the other hand, like, channels like The Lockpicking Lawyer do super well. And it's like, you're just watching a guy like unpick a lock, or Linus Tech Tips. Linus Tech Tips like really boggles my mind anytime I think about how they have like 60 employees or something stupid like that, all working for the same media group, where like literally all they're doing is talking about computers at a depth that like I'm pretty sure most people don't care about, I would argue you're probably not watching Linus Tech Tips for the tech tips, at this stage. You're probably watching it because you like Linus, you like the group, you like the personality, more than you like the actual stuff that they're talking about, right? So, yeah. I don't know why I'm talking about that, but I was thinking about it the other day, and that, like, I do actually kind of want to talk about these, like, obscure algorithms and stuff like that, but at the same time, I also feel like I kind of want to do some research and stuff like that. You watch LTT, like, you watch car videos to see nice cars. Oh, that could also be true. Like, they have a lot of hardware that, like, normal people, like, consumer people, like, you probably do not have in your computer, right? Because they just get access to hardware that you probably don't have access to. So that's also probably fair. And in some ways, it's like flexing on you in a way. Okay. So what would be the simplest way to introduce a binomial distribution? This is where I kind of got off track last time. So binomial distribution. So as I was trying to think about like the best way to introduce this topic, I got into, what was it? Hausdorff? No, Hoff. Is it Hausdorff? No, it's not Hausdorff. Bernoulli count. Yeah, Bernoulli events. That's what I was looking for. Right. So Bernoulli trials, which are really useful in, like, it's really useful for a number of different things, right? Like, it's useful for basically creating a binomial distribution and stuff like that. It's essentially like you flip a coin, there's a head or tails events there. I can't speak. If you flip a coin, you either land on heads or tails, right? If you count a bunch of coins together, you're basically counting a bunch of Bernoulli trials. After counting all these trials together, you get the binomial distribution, and the binomial distribution is useful so that you can figure out like the probability of finding a particular expectation value or something like that. So it is all interconnected. I think maybe for the purposes of this chapter, we can maybe skip talking about the Bernoulli binomial distribution and instead just talk about Gaussians and just say, this is a Gaussian probability density function. And if we just say it's a Gaussian probability density function, that saves us from talking about the binomial distribution, which we certainly will have to talk about at some point. It's just that I kind of want to delay that chapter just a little bit, because I want to talk about the binomial distribution when I'm talking about measure theory. Because there's actually some interesting discussions about different measures and stuff that are coming up in the chaos game stuff that we were talking about before. So with the fractal compression. So we do need to talk about the binomial distribution, but we want to talk about it in terms of measure theory, so we can talk about it in fractal compression. I don't know. Are there good explanations to the binomial distribution? See, this is the thing. So I know that Grant put a video out most recently. Grant had, yeah, that's the problem. It's a video. Like, I don't like, I don't like videos at all. Like, I just don't learn anything from videos. So, hey, Glowfly, how are you? Yeah, they're doing the same thing where they start talking about Bernoulli trials first, and then they go from there. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is how I learned it in information theory as well. Actually, did we talk about this in information theory? I don't remember if we did. Your work is super interesting. Thanks, you too. Binomial distribution. If only you had the time to check it out. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you slowly but surely, how do I put this? For Nyquist stuff, actually, maybe. Did we cover it for Nyquist stuff? I feel like, to me, and maybe that's just because I'm not remembering correctly, but the Nyquist theorem and the binomial distribution, I don't see the link right now, but maybe I completely forgot. Nyquist binomial distribution. Nyquist reference manual, revision. Well, okay, let's just do Google. Oh, no. Also, I'm going to ask something really stupid here. Have you guys been noticing, in the US, I've been noticing a lot of advertisements for DuckDuckGo recently. I was not expecting algorithmic composition to appear here at all. And I'm interested to see why it appears. Why does it appear here? Like, I Googled Nyquist. So there's a library called Nyquist. That's what I'm getting. Nyquist manual. That's what it must be. Yes, so this is not Nyquist theorem. And is also one of the inspirations for my idea of concise explanations kind of blog, which I may get someday. Right. So that's actually something I kind of pride myself in, like, in terms of the, like, video content in particular. I really do like the fact that my content is like 5 minutes at longest. You know, I don't like these videos that are super long, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm actually a fan of, like, the structure of my videos. I just need to figure out a way to make it more, like, make people want to come back to the next one, right? That's where I'm at. Is there a link between Nyquist sampling theorem and binomial distribution? That's my question. Someone in chat mentioned that, what did they mention? I mentioned that we talked about the binomial distribution in information theory, and then they talked about the Nyquist stuff, and I was like, oh, there was Gowabunga right there. And so I was like, wait a minute, how on earth is the Nyquist theorem related to the binomial distribution? I see no link. And so then I Googled it just to make sure, and I'm not really finding anything immediately, so my assumption here is that they're not strongly tied. But also, maybe I just suck at Googling, right? But yeah, have you guys been seeing ads for DuckDuckGo around? Like, I've been seeing a bunch of ads for DuckDuckGo, like, everywhere recently. Like, on TV, on billboards when I was driving down, like, around the US last week. FBI saw it and deleted the Google search. Maybe. Let me get some water. Man, I am, it is hot. I've been using it for a long time now, before all the ads. Are there ads? Let me go to, I guess I don't know where I'd find ads. I'm sorry. I'm not in the US of A, though. Yeah, that's fair. A lot of people in Europe were the ones that told me I should be using DuckDuckGo instead of Google. And in general, I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds like a good idea. By the way, for some reason, it's fine. Like an hour ago, I got a notification that John Lynn hosted me with a single viewer, and I'm like, oh, super cool. But for some reason, like, I just didn't get the notification on until now. So I don't know what happened there. DuckDuckGo is more useful for programming. Is it though? Because a lot of times when I'm like Googling something or Googling something on DuckDuckGo, DuckDuckGoing something, I don't really know. When I'm using DuckDuckGo, I find myself having to then just use the exclamation mark G or whatever to go to Google. However, I will say being able to go exclamation mark Scholar for Google Scholar is really useful, and the exclamation mark Wiki and exclamation mark YouTube, all of these are really useful. But that's the thing. I'm using DuckDuckGo as a way to get to other engines. You know, it often shows you Stack Overflow or Wikipedia answer immediately. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Like I found there's just been a lot of times when I found it like kind of lacking. You know. But maybe that's just me, right? Also, can we... Never mind, I'm not going to go there. I was going to talk about site navigation and how, like... Right, so if you go to the algorithm archive right now, let's just go to the algorithm archive, right? I have it set so you can type a search up here. If you want to type in, stuff, whatever, like fern, right? If you type in fern, right, it will show you the Barnsley fern because that's, you know, probably looking for a chapter on the Barnsley fern. If you look for fractal, it should bring up, yeah, multiple chapters on fractals. Plotting, because we mentioned fractals there. Iterative function systems is the Barnsley fern, right? If you look for, like anything really, Easter, you know, you'll find Computus, right? Because that's probably the chapter you're looking for, right? And I realize probably people don't use search too much, but what I've been kind of finding recently is that it's actually like essential to navigating any website, right? Like if I'm looking for a very particular piece of information on like an encyclopedia or something, like search is absolutely essential to finding that thing. Yeah. And so I don't know. I guess my point there is that like a lot of people are like overly relying on Google to do the searching for them. Like sometimes if you go to a search bar in the top, it'll be like powered by Google. It's like, well, wait a minute. Probably you should have just had like a native search in your own site. You probably shouldn't have had this powered by Google in the first place, because if you're doing that, you're kind of, I don't know, like it just feels like you're kind of working around the problem instead of actually attacking it directly. Anyway, that was my stupid mini rant that no one cares about for searching inside of a website. Let's just go from there. Search becomes more useful if the site grows larger. Yes, it's science related. I usually search Wikipedia directly. Yeah, see, that's, I think, kind of the thing. I don't know. I've been kind of bugged because recently for some of the stuff that I'm contracted to do for one of my friends, I've been kind of realizing that the site that we're working on isn't particularly navigatable. It's hard to navigate the site. And I've realized that the reason for that is because they decided to go with an option that didn't have a sidebar, right? And so the sidebar here, to me, is useful. I mean, admittedly, yeah, like, you still have to know that, like, Computus is down here and stuff like that. What I should do is, there's a very easy plugin that I can download that will, like, have drop-down menus, which I should just add in, because there's no, like, reason not to have the drop-down menus. I should just add it in there. But the point is that, like, having all of the stuff available here means that you can kind of just scroll and find the thing you're looking for. And I find that really useful. But the way that they did it was make it so, like, it's a bit harder just to scroll and find the information, and the search is powered by Google, so it's, like, really difficult to find. Like, I was trying to write a chapter for Fourier transforms, and I just couldn't find it. Like, I was like, okay, where on the site is this chapter that I'm writing? It was hard. It makes it take some extra clicks. That is true. I think the initial reason why I didn't have the drop-down menus. I never use it for the algorithm archive, but that's because I know the entire website. Yeah, right, that's true as well. I also don't use it because I know the entire website. So I'm kind of blind to the navigation issues that the algorithm archive has. Yeah. Anyway, let me stop ranting and let me think about this. So, in some sense... Okay. Right. I think we just say it's a probability density function instead. So are we allowed to say that the binomial distribution is a probability density function? Probability mass function. In general, random variable x follows a binomial distribution with parameters n within big N and p within 0 to 1. The probability of getting exactly k successes in n independent Bernoulli trials is given by the probability mass function. Okay, this says to me that the distribution is, we can probably call it a probability density function, right? Maybe I'm blind too, as I just use the site as I just use site in DuckDuckGo if I'm lost. Yeah, that's fair. But I'm not a designer, right? That's the other issue. Like, I think this is actually a big issue that plagues a lot of like open source software and stuff. Because people who make the software, they're not usually like graphics designers. They're not usually people who are like super good at art assets and stuff like this. So you end up like getting, it ends up not being particularly polished. Not because like, the people aren't trying their best to polish it, just because they don't really know how to polish it, right? And it's hard to hire someone to do the polishing because it's an open source project and you probably don't have that much funding. So maybe I should just Google, is the probability density function? Okay, let's do probability. Can I just look up density function? No. Oh, binomial probability mass function and normal probability density function. This is what I'm looking for, the normal approximation. Okay, so I can say it can be approximated to be a Gaussian. However, we need to talk about binomial distributions, which we'll talk about later. I use Mint, which is supposed to be a very user-friendly distro, and I can point to some awful menus. That's the thing as well, right? Like, open source needs designers. 100% agreed. Like, I'm a big fan of Mint. I'm a big fan of, like, trying to make, like, software usable, right? If you ask me what the most beautiful like operating system is, it's hard to say because, right, you can make Linux look really powerful and really beautiful because of all the different Windows managers and stuff you can add in there. But if you're asking me for like, if you just download an operating system and you use one of the default Windows Manager and desktop environments given to you by that operating system, the easiest one to navigate, in my opinion, is Mac. Mac OS is just way easier to navigate than Windows. Windows has so many just weird things about it that I can't follow anymore. Like I frankly cannot use Windows 10. It's like abysmal. It's really difficult. Now Linux, on the other hand, I can use, but not because of the UI. I can use because worst case scenario, I open up a terminal and I can just do everything in the terminal. I don't have to worry about the UI, right? And in some sense, for me in particular, it's easy, right? Because I know how to use a terminal. So I just open up the terminal, type in whatever I want to type in, bada boom, bada bang, bada bang. Is that a phrase? I shouldn't have said that. I open up the terminal, I write stuff, I figure out how to use the operating system in that way, right? I say the UI is worse than Windows, but that's a harder comparison. Yeah, so that's the thing as well. I think that was my point, right? When it comes to like Linux Mint, like for example, Cinnamon on Linux Mint, I actually kind of liked the Cinnamon desktop more than I liked the my experience with Windows 10. In fact, I also think I liked GNOME a lot more than I liked the Windows desktop. But I really did not like Mate. The Mate desktop environment, I think, was not as good as the Windows desktop environment, right? And there's several other desktop environments that are just frankly not as good. XFCE, for example, is way more difficult to navigate. Shogo Burr, of course. So Mint has that going for it, right? And that's the thing. Like, as long as I can open up a terminal, I'm fine. And Linux has a bunch of other things going for it, in that you have a freaking package manager. Like, can you imagine, like, living in 2021 without a package manager? That is so hard. Like, how do you install anything? You have to go to the website and click the download button? That's difficult. Like, how do people do that? It's like, when you think about what we're asking, like, old people to do all the time, like, it's no wonder that they download viruses all the time. Like, it's super easy to accidentally fall upon a virus, download it, or something like that. At least with the package manager, all you have to do is just like click a button and you're done. Windows has a thing now. It's called the App Store. Yeah, that's true. I think the fact that it's not curated by the community makes it kind of less useful for like arbitrary, like, it has to be vetted by the App Store, right? Whereas the other one is vetted by a community, so like, if something new comes up, you can just kind of download it from normal package managers and stuff. There is this idea of Chocolatey, which is a Windows manager for Windows, and obviously you have Brew on Mac and stuff, but yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think it's actually called the App Store in like Pop OS or whatever it is. What is Pop? Is it Pop OS? Pop OS. Okay. Yeah, I hear good things about Pop OS. So this is a histogram. Okay, so what I need to say, this is a histogram of the number of times. Okay. In this, for this image, we have performed some number of counting experiments. one second, experiments. And by the just download and installer wizard from our website is slowly fading away. That's probably fair as well, right? Like it maybe my usage of Windows, like when I was really using Windows heavily, was back when like Vista was a thing. Like so, I'm probably very negatively like. I never really used Windows 7, for example. That was not an operating system that I ever really had experience in. Like I like dipped my toes into it every now and again for like a college paper or something where like I absolutely needed to use Microsoft Word for formatting or something like this. But I never really used it, right? So I kind of left after Windows XP. And Windows Vista was there, but that was the thing that kind of motivated me to install Linux. So I wasn't there for Windows 8. And now Windows 10, I kind of like it in a way that you can press the Windows key at any time and kind of type in whatever you're looking for, and in general, you'll find it. That's actually really useful. But it's just, there's like a lag to when you press the Windows key and like the search bar appears, and like honestly navigating the options is just so difficult to do. Like, you know, if you're looking for network options, for example, I actually the other day was just trying to figure out like how to find a Wi-Fi password. Like basically I had already logged into the Wi-Fi on Windows 10, right? And what I wanted to do is I wanted to figure out like what the Wi-Fi password was that I used, and I couldn't find it at all. So I went like I found a guide online as to how to do it, and it's just whatever Windows 10 device that I was using did not even have the same menus, you know? Let's see. You look really great and healthy, question mark. What happened? I don't know. Sorry. Isn't the Windows key with search not available in early Windows? It's not. That's something that I like that was added in Windows 10 is what I'm saying. It only became available after Windows 8, I think. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's really just the lighting. Here, I'll show you. So if I change it, I think I'm gonna look pretty bad with this lighting. So yeah, so now I probably look like way worse. So that's why I have the lighting set like this. See you, Trash Hulk. Have a wonderful. Oh, you were able to use it in Windows 7. Okay, maybe I wasn't aware of it in Windows 7. Oh, you're right. I think it was there. The first iteration was there in Windows 7. But yeah, the other thing was. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's honestly just been a tough few weeks for me. So, you know, just kind of tired. Okay, I've got a lot of writing to do, and I don't usually like doing the writing on stream. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sketch out what I need to do, and then after sketching out what I have to do, I'm gonna just write it out, and then maybe I'll come back later tonight to I don't know. I've got to figure it out. I really do want to get a video out this weekend. I want to get a video out like basically every week from now on, just to kind of like have that consistency going. And I'd love for this video to be how high can you count on your fingers. But we'll see. We'll see how far I can get. Unfortunately, like all my weekends are booked with just stupid events that I don't want to go to. Just because I'm in Alabama and my family's here, so I end up having to do more stuff than I normally would. So I don't have as much time over the weekend. And because this week I was spent mainly catching up with my other job, I didn't really have time to make any content. So like yesterday was the first day I was able to make content. App Store is an attempt to be Linux and failing. That's probably true. So let me just go ahead and write this paragraph. So for this image we performed, let's say, this number counting experiments. Have also plotted a Gaussian distribution on top of it. Let's see here. Right, so the idea here is that we can find here the expectation value is ba 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 ba. And the standard deviation is ba 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 ba, whatever. We'll find that. Okay. By reframing, this distribution This distribution is known as a binomial distribution, which we'll cover later. This distribution is known as a binomial distribution, nomial distribution, which we'll cover in the near future. For now, it is all right to assume that it is close enough. Oh, come on. To a Gaussian, to use Gaussian approximation. Okay. Let's see, what do we have? Let me check. No, I just pressed a button I didn't mean to. Crap. You didn't see what I did, but it was super embarrassing. Okay. So, right. The next thing I need to do is... The next thing I need to do is track. So now we need to add an image. Image tracking the count, total count with of different counting experience with the line y is equal to x, right? So the idea is we're counting, so we're doing 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, so it's just going to be a linear line, and then what we want to do is kind of show that the by basically counting in increments of 4,000, we're gonna do this kind of like stepwise approach to representing the line. So yeah, and so here I think I want to say something like if let's see. For now, it's all right to assume that that is close enough to Gaussian to use Gaussian approximations, and this means that we can estimate the error with standard deviation, and find the final count with the expectation value. I need to rewrite that of the distribution. And then here, the expectation value is this. Standard distribution is. As an interesting side note, let's plot a few experiments alongside a simple counting line of y equals x, which represents simply, I guess simply counting, incrementing by one each, instead of in random steps of 4,000. Okay, so we want that to be next. Hey, determinist, how are you? Okay, so now we're going to add the image there. Here it is clear that by averaging all of the steps, all of the distributions, we roughly get the same y equals x counting line. There is an interesting case to be made at the start. So what I want to say here is that I think I'm just going to write it down. Again, I'm just trying to get the skeleton, not actually do any of the writing here. So now we're going to say it doesn't track well. One second. At the start, use log to fix that. And then in here, we're going to also do the same thing for histogram plus tracking line images. And I think that's kind of where I want the chapter to be. So there's still a lot to do here, like a lot of writing to do, and I still have to make the video and write the code and all that kind of stuff. Man, I was really hoping to get this done. Really hoping to get this done today. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a step back, do the writing, and then we're going to come back and just knock out all of the images and the code snippet. It should be relatively quick. I don't think I'm going to be able to do the voice recording. I mean, realistically, the soonest I can get this done is next Wednesday. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I really did want to get videos out every week. So I think realistically what I need to do is I need to get this chapter done as soon as possible and then start the weekly uploads next week, right? And the reason I think that's a good idea is because I'm going to have to take, like, I'm going to be traveling to Tokyo, and there's going to be like 2 weeks of quarantine. It's just going to be hard to do streams and all this kind of stuff. So I just need to start ramping up the streams, start doing things regularly again, and then, get content out with a slight delay. That's the way to do it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So for now, I'm going to take a step back, do the writing for this chapter, start thinking about some other like interesting problems and videos and stuff like that we can make, kind of like, again, think of them as like problems of the week type of thing, and go from there. So I'm gonna go for now. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Have a wonderful day, night, afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it happens to be your time. And I will see you guys around next time for the next episode of Simuleos, which should be, like tomorrow. Oh no, tomorrow's Saturday. I'm going to try tomorrow. If it doesn't work tomorrow, I'll still be writing the chapter and stuff. We'll see how that goes, and go from there. So anyway, guys, thanks again, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.